They say the feeling of regret is strong and bitter, like tasting metal in your mouth. On that night, every elder in the village of Okoroji knew that feeling. The heavy storm arrived without warning, quick, fierce, and without pity. The wind was so strong it ripped the roofs from houses. The thunder crashed loudly, as if the sky itself was splitting into pieces. The peaceful, familiar footpaths of Okoroji became rushing streams of red, wet mud. The children were crying. The women were praying loudly. Even the village's talking drum, the great voice that speaks for the people, went quiet. And in the middle of all that noise and confusion, no one heard the one sound that was most important. A slow, heavy creak, coming from a door that should have remained shut forever. The house of eternal shadows was no longer sleeping. It had opened its eyes. Long, long before the village of Okoroji came to be, far past the quiet, whispering forests, there was a great kingdom called Nriakam. It was ruled by a king named Odu Amma, a man whose great desire for power made everyone fear him. North of his kingdom, in the misty hills, lived a peaceful people known as the Onyx Clan. Their skin was smooth and dark like polished black stone, and their eyes shone with a gentle light in the darkness. They were gifted with an ancient magic, older than any king or kingdom, the power to speak to shadows and ask the darkness to listen. With such a powerful gift came a great responsibility. The Onyx Clan used their shadow magic only for good, to heal the sick, protect the sacred forests, and guide lost souls safely home. But as it often is, people fear what they do not understand. Traders began to spread wicked lies about the clan to the king. They said, "The Onyx people have captured the moon." They claimed, "They steal the light of the sun." They whispered, "They are preparing a great curse for the world." King Odu Amma had long wanted an excuse to take their land for himself. These lies gave him the reason he was looking for. He sent his armies, thousands and thousands of men from the lowlands, marching up towards the peaceful hills of the Onyx Clan. Fire rained down from the sky. Their homes burned to ashes. The wind carried nothing but the sound of screams. The brave warriors of the Onyx Clan stood their ground, forming a strong, tight circle around their children and elders. But when it became clear they could not win the fight, the elders of the clan chose to do the last thing they could. They sang the great shadow song, calling the deepest darkness to rise up and swallow King Odu Amma's army. But their great sadness twisted the old magic. Their anger poisoned it. The shadows, once their friends, became wild, too wild to control, and they turned and consumed the elders themselves. The darkness grew hungry. It swallowed warriors, mothers, fathers, and children too. When morning finally came, nothing was left on the hill but ashes and scorched earth. But the elders' last words did not fade. They hung in the air like a promise. One day, a child of our blood will return, and when that one enters the house we built, the shadows will finish the work they began. After the Onyx Clan was no more, the soldiers from the plains who had survived went home, but they carried shame, fear, and confusion in their hearts. The story of the cursed darkness spread quietly from kingdom to kingdom. To ensure that terrible shadow would stay locked away forever, the wise priests of Nriakam built a structure around the very spot where the elders had vanished, the swirling, dark hole they left behind. This structure became known as the House of Eternal Shadows. It was not a house for people to live in. It was a prison for darkness, a seal for keeping evil locked away, a warning for all who saw it, but the soldiers were too afraid to stay near it. They set up their camp far away, filled with terror. As years went by, new settlers slowly began to build their homes around this forbidden place. A young settlement grew, which they called Okoroji. The priests came and told them the solemn truth: your duty is to guard this house. If ever a child with onyx blood steps inside it, The shadows will wake and rise again. The people of Okoroji accepted this great responsibility. Generations came and went. Families grew. Elders taught their children and their children's children to never, ever go near the house. And as far as anyone knew, no one with the blood of the Onyx Clan ever came to their village. At least, that is what they believed. She arrived during a hard season, a time of hunger. 3 quiet travelers looking for a small piece of land to call their own. Her parents named her Nkemdili, a name that means "let what is mine remain with me." She grew into a gentle girl, with bright, curious eyes that were always asking questions. Her skin was a deep, beautiful black, like the deepest part of the night. But in Okoroji, this was not strange at all. So no one looked at her too carefully. No one saw the small, delicate birthmark on her shoulder, shaped like a crescent moon. It stayed hidden beneath her clothes. The children of the village loved to play with her. The women trusted her with small tasks. The elders smiled kindly when they greeted her. No one saw what she truly was, the last living child of the lost Onyx Clan. And so, the years went by in peace, until the great storm came. Lightning ripped open the sky. Thunder crashed and rumbled like giant stones falling from the heavens. The river broke its banks and rushed violently into people's homes. In all the chaos and fear, Nkemdili was separated from her parents. Blind with panic, she ran through the punishing rain and the thick darkness. Then she saw a light. Not the harsh flash of lightning, but a warm, golden glow, steady, calm, and inviting. It seemed to call out to her, a beacon in the storm. Without thinking, she ran toward it. The light was coming from the forbidden house. Its heavy door, which had been shut for generations, now stood wide open. A powerful gust of wind pushed at her back, and she stumbled inside. The very moment her foot crossed that sacred threshold, something happened far away in the village shrine. The ancient book of prophecy, written on sacred bark, began to weep tears as black as ink. The priests who saw it trembled with a deep, old fear. Outside, the very wind in the hills shifted and began to blow from a new, strange direction. The shadows, after so many long years of sleep, had tasted onyx blood once more. Shadows began to move from the trees like thick, living smoke. The villagers' crops withered and died in an instant. Goats fell to the ground without a sound. The river's water turned a deep, frightening red, the color of fresh blood. On the roads, ghostly warriors of the Onyx Clan could now be seen walking. Their mouths were open as if screaming, but no sound came out. Hands made of pure darkness reached out from corners and shadows, touching villagers as they slept. Some of those who were touched never woke up again. Trembling with fear, the elders of Okoroji gathered around the ancient bark book, which was still weeping its black tears. The oldest among them, Baba Okeke, read aloud the long-forgotten words of prophecy carved into the book in dark, dried blood. His voice was heavy and broke with sorrow as he spoke. The girl Nkemdili carries the blood of the Onyx Clan. She is the one who has woken the house, and only she can now make it sleep again. A deep, bitter regret filled the hearts and minds of everyone. It was a feeling as sharp and heavy as tasting metal in the mouth. Inside the House of Eternal Shadows, Nkemdili stood alone and shivering. The air around her seemed to waver and shift like water. Dark shapes moved along the walls without anyone making them move. She felt a deep, old presence watching her. Then a figure appeared before her. It was the pregnant woman in blood, the powerful spirit guardian of the final unfinished spell left by the Onyx Elders long ago. Her dress flowed around her like shimmering red smoke. Her rounded belly glowed with a soft, unborn light. For the first time in 1,000 years, she spoke. "You have opened the door." Her voice echoed softly. "Now, You must be the one to close it, or you must watch this world burn, just as your own people burned." Nkemdili's knees shook. Her heart beat loudly like a drum in her chest. But she understood that her destiny had finally found her. There was no place left to run. The spirit leaned closer and whispered a final instruction. "Go and seek the Guardian of Night. Only then will you learn the chant of release." Guided by gentle voices that only she could hear, soft and familiar, like old lullabies from a childhood she could not remember, Nkemdili stepped out of the house and walked back into the raging storm. The spirits of her ancestors led her safely through the most dangerous places, the forest of bending trees, where the great branches bowed down to let her pass. The river of two faces, whose waters split open to show a hidden dry path across its bed. The sacred hill, where lightning flashed all around her but never came close enough to touch her. At the very top of that hill, hidden behind a waterfall of pure black water, she found a glowing cave. Inside was the Guardian of Night, the last being in the world who held the ancient knowledge of the Onyx Clan. The Guardian stood as still as a rock, but its eyes were deep and endless like the night sky. "Child of shadow," it murmured, its voice like soft earth. "The great sorrow of your people sleeps in your blood. To set their spirits free, you must speak the words of the song they could not finish." Nkemdili bowed her head in respect. She closed her eyes and listened carefully, and there, in the quiet of the cave, she learned the chant of release. By the time she walked out of the cave, the night had become strangely silent. It was a heavy, waiting silence that felt wrong, and she knew with a cold fear in her heart that her village was dying. She turned and she ran back home as fast as she could. Only a few brave villagers were still left, fighting the creeping shadows with weapons that shook in their hands. When they saw Nkemdili walking toward them through the chaos, they did not move to stop her. Instead, they stepped aside, not out of fear of her, but with a small, fragile hope. She walked on, alone, straight to the door of the House of Eternal Shadows. The heavy door opened for her, as if welcoming an old friend back home. Inside, the trapped darkness roared like a wild, angry beast. Nkemdili stood firmly, raised her head, and spoke the ancient chant she had learned. "Blood of Onyx, shadows bind, release the lost, let peace we find." As the words left her lips, the entire house began to shake violently. The windows shattered into dust. Then a beautiful light burst forth from within, a light of silver, gold, and a warm, gentle glow. Outside, the ghostly Onyx warriors stopped their march. They lifted their faces toward this new light. The silent screams on their lips softened, then faded away. Their dark armor crumbled, turning not to dust, but into soft white feathers. They rose from the ground, transformed into a flock of white birds, and flew up into the newly calm and bright morning sky. Inside the house, the pregnant woman in blood watched. Her flowing red dress slowly faded, becoming a pure, peaceful white. For the first time, a gentle smile touched her face as her form began to fade away. All that remained was the sound of a newborn's first cry, a spirit finally set free. Morning arrived gently, like a long-awaited blessing. The river's water ran clear again. The crops in the field stood tall and straight. Those villagers who had disappeared returned, walking slowly back home, blinking in the bright sunlight as if waking from a long dream. The House of Eternal Shadows still stands at the edge of Okoroji, quiet now, but still holding its old power, standing in peace. But the elders of the village now teach their children one important truth. Some blood remembers everything. Some doors, once opened, can only be closed by the very heart that opened them. Walk gently in old places. The past is never as dead as we wish it to be.